In the first segment of the Eagle Sports Coaches Show, we'd like to welcome you to our new digs here at the not the Adrian Norton University Center, the Lynn Miller Room here at the AAC. Kevin Fulton has joined us. And Kevin, how's it been thus far this tennis season?
Well, we're right in the middle of our conference slate right now, and first I want to say this is so much more quiet than the Adrian Norton Center, but very lovely room. We're in the middle of conference right now. The girls have played 2 conference matches. The guys have played 3. The girls right now are 2-0. The guys are 1-2, having just lost a tough match this past Sunday at Tennessee Tech. We're looking to rebound this weekend. We have coming here to our place Southern Illinois Edwardsville, who's now full-time in the conference as far as able to compete for championships, and EIU on Sunday.
And, of course, as you mentioned, the women are 9-4 overall.
Yes.
And you've played a pretty good schedule up to this point.
Played a very good schedule. We're trying, like I said, every year you try to put your schedule together where you have some matches you probably don't have a chance to win, and then some matches that you should win, and then some matches that are 50-50. And, we're now into the schedule where you want to win because you're in conference, and I really feel good about what's going on with the girls' team right now. We've got a couple of girls who are on a pretty good streak. I think Victoria Cran is now 11-3 overall and has won like 8 matches in a row. Alexis Garrett's won 7 matches in a row. And not to be lost in that shadow, but Brooke Helms just clinched at Jacksonville State. I think her 4th or 5th match in 2.5 years as an Eagle. She's now, I think, 17-2 overall as a singles player and been a very valuable part of our doubles tandems.
I got a chance to catch up with you yesterday and see a little bit of the practice, and those young ladies were working awful hard. And that's what impressed me the most was they were very attentive. They were listening to your every word, and they were working very hard on what you were trying to accomplish.
Well, we have a great group of kids, and the one thing that we try to tell them is I'm not going to tell them something that doesn't mean something. I'm not going to waste their time. We've actually scaled down our practices from 2 hours to about an hour and 45. And I tell them, this time of year we're trying to keep you fresh. So the more that you pay attention, the more we get done, we get out a little bit quicker and our legs a little bit fresher going into the next day or the next match.
And I know they were all, you had your whole team out there, and they were all either in that drill or getting ready to be in that drill, so they were all paying attention at all times.
Absolutely. I think you're not going to find a more driven group of girls on this campus that are competing for a championship right now. I think that these girls, having been to the semifinals last year, and even though the score was 4-2 with UT Martin last year, we had match point on another court. It was going to go 3-all. To be that close to chance to play for an OVC championship and having been the only team to beat Jack State last year, these girls are really hungry and want to try to prove that last year wasn't a fluke and that they're for real.
As you mentioned, SIU Edwardsville will come into town on Saturday, and then Sunday Eastern Illinois. 5-0 at home this year, and of course that's a pretty nice streak. You won 7 overall, but 5-0 at home is a nice streak. You like to defend your home turf.
Absolutely, I think you feel more comfortable at home. You're sleeping in your own bed. You got your own fans out there. It's always a great advantage to be at home. You don't have the long van drives. You don't have the distractions of the road. And, I feel like we have a pretty good home record the last couple of years here, especially in conference, the girls and the guys both. I look forward to this weekend. I really, we had a nice always have had nice battles with EIU and Coach Blackburn there, and I feel like Sunday's not going to be any different. Coach Coomer at Southern Illinois Edwardsville has done a good job trying to get his program up and running, and I feel like it's going to be an absolute battle. And we'd like to have as many people come out as possible to help us have a real home advantage so we can go hopefully 7-0 at home.
And, of course, it's 11 o'clock start right now, depending on the weather.
Depending on the weather. If the weather gets bad, we're going to try to push it up a little bit so we're not in there till midnight.
All they have to do is go to msueagles.com if they happen to be bad weather on Saturday or Sunday, and they'll update you on that. And, of course, after that, you got a busy week. You got 3 straight road matches. One's at Eastern, but then it's Eastern, UT Martin, and at SEMO.
Anytime you play Eastern Kentucky and you're at Morehead State, they always talk about Ohio State and Michigan, and they talk about UCLA and USC or Kentucky and and whoever it is in the SEC or Kentucky and Louisville, I get up for this rivalry more than any other. I absolutely, anytime that a Morehead State team can beat Eastern Kentucky, it's a great day. And I look forward to it. And then next weekend coming up with UT Martin, they're 3-0 on the girls' side. Next weekend's all girls with both of those programs not having men's programs. But they're 3-0. We've lost them, I think, 2 of the last 3 years, 4-3. 1 year being up 3-1 with only having to win one match to close it out. They are the favorite in the conference. I've always had a lot of respect for Coach Taylor at UT Martin and feel like it's our time. Southeast Missouri, we've had a pretty good run against them. I think they're struggling a little bit right now, but they have a very talented team. They've got 3 or 4 girls in that team that any coach in this conference would like to have on their program. So long week ahead, a lot of sleepless nights, and hopefully some good luck.
And, of course, in the next weekend, you come back home to close out the regular season on April 13th. Murray State here at Morehead at 1 o'clock scheduled now. And then you end the regular season on April 15th hosting Austin Peay.
Austin Peay. That could come down to literally a number 1 or 2 seed, depending on if we take care of business this next week. So it's going to be absolutely huge. Every match in OVC is huge. I think every coach here on campus would tell you that, that there's no cupcakes, there's no day off. And I feel like I said, if we can get a good crowd out here, we can do some great things.
Let's talk about the men a little bit. As you said, you're at home this weekend against SIU Edwardsville and Eastern Illinois also, but then they take most of next week off because, as you said, you only play Eastern Kentucky. Is that something that you like or don't like, or that's just how the schedule falls? Because they're going to have basically a 5-day, 6-day period where they're not playing.
It can be a catch-22. I think the way that we do practice, you were up there, we try to keep drills that are very competitive, so we try to keep them very sharp. They're really essentially we get off 2 days before we play EKU after playing this weekend. So I know those guys. If I know these guys, they are ready to play EKU. After that, having played 3 matches in 5 days, they will probably need a day or two to rest. But with Meg, my assistant coach, and Bradley, who's been helping us, I don't think we'll have a problem staying sharp.
You're 8-7 overall on the men's side, and coming off playing some very stiff competition. Last week,
played
Wednesday,
Louisville.
Yeah, played number 43 Louisville, and that's a very tough match right there.
We had opportunities to win several matches within that match. I was very, very happy with how we came out playing kind of loose and playing with a lot of confidence and a lot of heart. I think sometimes when an athlete goes into a match where they know that they're supposedly overmatched, they just kind of let it all hang out. And, we talked about that we have to play that way when we play in conference as well. And I think that I talked about this the last coach's show. You try to get these kids to be able to replicate what they're doing in practice, because I think every coach here will tell you that in practice these kids they are focused, they are going through the motions, they are doing the things that they need to be doing. And you get in a match, it gets a little different because there's pressure. And I try to explain to these kids that, and you got to remember, they are kids. I've got Sevy Day, who's a sophomore, but he's just 18 years old as a sophomore and won't be 19 till August. You try to let them understand that this is a privilege pressure, that, real pressure is not having a job, trying to find a job, or going through what the people in West Liberty went through. That's pressure of trying to figure out how to feed your family and do those things. This type of stuff, this is fun. And you try to remind them of that every day, that have fun. My kids will probably tell you I'm an intense person. I said it may look like I'm intense, but I'm actually smiling on the inside because I love competing.
Now, do you, as like we've talked to the basketball coaches before, as you end the season, do you try to take some wear and tear off the legs, or do you still go out and compete and practice as hard as you can?
Well, what we try to do is condense practice. Normally we practice 2 hours. I'm trying to scale it back to about an hour and 45 minutes right now. I think that what we try to tell the kids is, look, and I said it just a few minutes ago with the girls being real attentive yesterday, if we get done what we need to get done, we'll cut a little early, because you want to keep them fresh. Because right now it's you hope all your conditioning you did in the fall and early in the spring is going to come back to pay for you now. You don't want to keep running them hard all the time and not give them a chance. And with school right now, it's the second half. These kids are trying to catch up on it, and we got to realize they are student athletes, not athletic students.
And of course, once again, the 4 final home games for the season. Of course, I need to mention also your men are 6-0 at home. So,
yeah.
We won't put any pressure on you. The fact that you haven't lost a home match all year and you have 4 left.
I know. And really, we've had a stretch here these last couple matches where scores don't indicate how close these matches were on the road. These guys, we have all the talent that you could need. And I'm hoping that they'll find that inside, that fire to burn, because I'm still right now steaming about this loss on Sunday to Tennessee Tech. And believe it or not, on the way down, I was talking about the Jack State loss that was over a week ago. So, you try to just put these things out of the way and remind them, yes, we are 6-0 at home. And, yes, we have won. We won, I think 6 or 7 matches in a row before we hit this little bit of a stumble. But the guys were talking about it. We had a meeting on the way back from the trip, and they're encouraged by what we were able to accomplish within that match with all the adversity that we had. We had, I won't say on the show, but we had some rough calls, and I felt like they fought through some adversity very well, and it was a very raucous crowd down there at Tech. They're very loud and very proud of their men's program there. And I feel like if we can learn from this and move forward, that you'll see hopefully we'll go undefeated at home the rest of the year.
SIU Edwardsville coming to town on Saturday, on Sunday Eastern Illinois, then later on April 13th Murray State, and on April 15th Austin Peay. Kevin, always a pleasure.
Jason,
Good
always
luck
a
the rest
pleasure.
of the way. We'll
Thanks,
talk to you again. That's Kevin Fulton on this edition of the Eagles Sports Coaches Show.
I just want to say congratulations to Coach Hodges on the birth of his son, Cooper Jackson. I noticed that on Twitter that Coach Tyndall's already recruiting the young man. I was hoping that we could get him to either play tennis. I know Coach Sorg probably wants him to play baseball, so I'm putting my offer out there to Coach Hodges right now.
All right, and Kevin, we'll see you later on.
Thanks again, Jason.
That's this first segment. We'll come back with more. This is the Eagles Sports Coaches Show. Welcome back, the Eagles Sports Coaches Show, and Jay Sorg has joined us. And Jay, since the last time we talked to us, a little bit about how the baseball team's been doing.
Sure, it's been a little while. I know we had a great week, spring break week. We went 3-1, played some, started conference, go 2-1 in conference on the road. We were happy with that. We had a busy week last week too from a community service aspect. We had a chance to go into, into some of the tornado damaged areas, and I thought that was a really good project for our players and something they'll never forget.
Tell us a little bit about, what the reaction was, because if you go and take a look at the cities of West Liberty and Salyersville and the Eastern Kentucky part, that some of them might not have ever traveled to, but of course some of them probably played either at Morgan County, played at their park or whatever. It's something that they'll probably remember the rest of their life.
They really will. We drove right through West Liberty and had to go right through the downtown. And I think that was the first part that they really saw. And the damage was just so extensive. And buildings just down to the last brick. I think that was something that, was an eye-opener for them. And then we went to Salyersville, and that's where we did our work. And, we had 33 guys there, Jason. And we probably worked 6 good solid hours. And them guys, they busted it. And you barely put a dent in what was there. And so there's a lot of work to be done. We encourage anybody who gets a chance to go out and volunteer, please do that. And I know they'll welcome you there, and we were very welcomed when we came.
Yeah, people don't realize that, they make the initial disaster, coming the first week of March, and then people try to help financially. But then we can't forget, because there's still a lot of people homeless, a lot of people jobless, and then if your team can go down and help them, starting over, then that's a big plus.
Well, and you got to remember, this is something that's going to take years to rebuild. And I think something that happens when, the first month everybody's very excited, very gung-ho, wanting to help, and then that help tapers off. And this is something that's going to last a while, and I hope that we remember that, and a lot of people go down and help.
And I know it's kind of hard. You're in the middle of your season, but it was spring break. I think there's several teams that have went down to try to help. And the fact that I think if you could go as a group, it may teach them more of a lesson than they even know.
Well, fortunately, we were able to stay together as a team. We had a big area over by the high school, and for our guys, in a lot of the work, it was some heavier lifting and some heavier cleanup, and there were some trees being cut down, and we were hauling some of that lumber, and so for our guys, there was a teamwork effort involved with it too, and for me, like we talked about earlier, this is something that they may not remember 75% of the games we play this year 10 years from now, but they will remember that day.
And, of course, this is not only a special time for that, the fact that you and your club usually are out in the community or doing something community service-wise, probably even the days when you were here as a player to now. I mean, there are a lot of good things that happen, and sometimes these athletes and coaching staff don't get credit for that.
Well, it's such a reciprocal. We know how much the community means to Morehead State University, and on the other side of it, we know that Morehead State means a lot to this community. So it was a good opportunity for us.
Tell us a little bit about the game today. You go down to Power Park in Charleston and take on West Virginia. That's usually a good park to play in. It's a minor league park, and you know a lot about the minor league parks.
It's a nice setup. We're meeting them about halfway, I think, for both of us, about the same distance. And, we like to play teams from BCS conferences, and this is a good opportunity for us. We've been able to do this the last couple of years. I think we're going to do it again, not next year, but the year after. And so we'll go play a Big East opponent, and it's going to be, it's not going to be an easy game, so we're excited about going down there and playing them.
Tell us a little bit about how you've been doing. I know that, it's wins and losses you're probably not happy with, like most coaches, but since the last time we chatted, how are the Eagles doing?
Well, I'm not too upset. We're 13-11 right now, and going into last week, we had played the 40th toughest schedule in the nation. And again, that wasn't necessarily by design. But when you do these schedules a couple years in advance, that's just the way it worked out. And I think to play like we did against a lot of those clubs, we can't be very upset. Now, at the same point, there's certainly things we have to work on, certainly things we have to get better, and we want to play better throughout. But this week started our real season. Everything else was spring training. Conference started, and this is the true test for us.
Well, you open up the LVC, as you said. You take 2 out of 3 out of Murray, a very tough and traditionally rich baseball program.
Yeah, they came in. I think Austin Peay was leading the league in wins. I think ourselves and Murray were neck and neck with SIUE pretty close behind. So we went in and played a team we felt probably going in was pretty similar to us. And, we go to their place. We win 2 out of 3. 2 of those games are close. I really didn't feel like we played very well the first game, but we hit enough to stay in that game. So, I told Rob after the game that if all of our series are going to be like this, he and I are both going to age real quick.
Well, you improved your road record to 6-8, which is great. Home record, that's what Sonny Allen Field is all about. 7-3 after the first 10 games, and obviously you're playing very well at home.
Well, we've traditionally played better at home than we have on the road, and there's a lot of reasons to that. Now, I think our road record's a little bit better this year than years past because we're a little more balanced club. And so, whereas at home we've been we've kind of built teams for our home field, this year we're a little more balanced, and that's why you're seeing a little bit better road record than what we've had in the past.
I know early on in the season, as a coach, you always rely on your pitching staff to try to get you through until the hitters catch up. How has your pitching staff been thus far?
It's been better than it has. And, overall we've gotten some really good starts, especially on the weekends. I think this weekend I wasn't happy with 2 out of 3 of our starts. But, overall they've kept us in the game. And I think what's really been good is, the back end of our bullpen's been outstanding with with Cartwright and Serbo and Duncan. And Cartwright was injured this weekend, and Serbo really came in, pitched 3 games. He really stopped a couple innings for us, and then, of course, Duncan picks up 2 saves on the weekend.
So has he been what he's advertised
for? He really has. I think something with him, too, even on days when he doesn't have his best stuff, he believes he's going to get guys out. And he's got that true closer mentality. And really, I thought, now Sunday, his stuff was pretty sharp. Saturday, his stuff wasn't as sharp as he has been, and he kind of willed himself through it. And so he's been really good. But and again, though, with Serbo, he's really come in. We put him in some tight situations, some jams. And, this week I think he picked up 2 wins on the week. So, we're really, we needed him to step up with Cartwright out, and he did for us.
Okay, you after you go to West Virginia, you head down to, you host Jacksonville State this weekend. They come in a big 3-game series. And as we talked about before, the Jacksonville State's one of the teams you said to look out for during the preseason.
They're always one of the best teams in our conference. I really have a lot of respect for their staff and what they do, and they recruit well. And we're going to see some better-looking athletes when we play them. Ironically, I hate playing them at home. We usually play them a little better at their park, and part of it's because they usually have a decent amount of power, and they hit a lot of home runs in our park. And they're also getting healthy, and they're getting hot right now. And for whatever reason, it seems like we find a way to play teams while they're hot. Murray had won 5 out of their last 6, and Jacksonville State, I think, has won 5 out of their last 6. So, but, that's the way baseball works, and we'll go at it.
And, of course, games will start Friday at 5 o'clock, Saturday at 2 o'clock, and Sunday at 1 o'clock. So if you want to make it out to watch some Eagle baseball. And, of course, then on April 3rd, St. Catherine's College will come to town at 3 o'clock start. So the next 4, after today, the next 4 games are at home for you.
Yeah, we'll be at home a little bit. We played a little more on the road this year, so it's nice to stay home for a little bit of a stretch.
And the weather's getting now to where the fans can come out and really enjoy themselves watching some baseball.
Well, we've been fortunate this spring. I think we're all happy with the way the weather's been this spring, and that's part of, we talked about our offense. That's part of why our offense has really gotten to where it is right now. We started off a little better this year.
Now, we mentioned the pitching, and we won't slack the offense. Tell us a little bit about how that's been going.
There's some things that we have to work on. There's a couple types of pitchers that we are struggling with, but overall, we've swung. We're leading the OVC in hitting right now with a 3.08 average, and offensively, we've traditionally been pretty good here. And of course, we play in a park that's conducive for it. But at the same time, we've been able to go on the road. You look at Murray, the first 2 games, we have 11 hits and 9 runs, and then 15 hits and 11 runs in the first 2 games. So something else that's for us this year, we've got a pretty good lineup against a right-handed pitcher, and then we can have a lot of flip-flops and have another whole different lineup against left-handed pitchers this year, and I think that's paid off for us.
I think you hit it on the head the last time we talked about the depth. For so long, I think since you've been here, you've lacked the depth, but this year you felt good going into this season with some players who will push other players all season long for playing time.
Well, there's no question. You take a look at this weekend. We go into a park where I felt like we had to have a fast outfield. And, of course, what happens, we lose Taylor Pickens, our leadoff hitter, for a couple weeks. And Duran Elmore, our center fielder, catches the flu. And so now we got to have 2 guys go in and step up. And here's Nick Duff comes in, and instead of DHing and hitting second, we move him into the leadoff spot and play left field. And he's the co-player of the week in the OVC. In the outfield, he has a huge assist on Saturday in the 8th inning to throw a guy out the plate that possibly saves that game for us.
So things are going pretty good, but we want to invite people to come out after today's game. Of course, the Eagles are on the road later tonight, Tuesday night, if you're listening to the radio or watching the film, at 6 o'clock at Charleston, West Virginia, taking on West Virginia University, and then Jacksonville State, a 3-game series starting Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it's early on in the OVC race, but still, we'd like to see the fans come out and enjoy some Eagle baseball.
2 weeks ago, I felt like that was a very big test week for us, and I feel the same way this week with the type of midweek we have and who we're playing on the weekend. So it's a big week for us.
Jay, always a pleasure. Good luck against West Virginia, and good luck against Jacksonville State.
Appreciate you guys having us on.
That's Jay Sorg, baseball coach here at Morehead State University. We'll come back with more. This is the Eagle. Welcome back to the Eagle Sports Coaches Show from our new digs here, the Len Miller Room in the AAC, and Jason Blanton with you, joined by women's golf coach Stephanie Barker. And Coach, tell us a little bit about how things been going since the last time we saw you.
Well, we've been gone a lot. So most of March we're not here. It's exciting. We've been down in Florida for, I guess, 3 tournaments. So they've been playing well. We probably started out a tiny bit slow, which is a little bit expected in the spring. I was kind of thinking we'd start faster because of all the good weather that we've had this spring, but I just think once you've had a break and we're an all-year sport, that 2 or 3 months off, you just got to get the jitters out. So first tournament went okay, second tournament mediocre again, but our last 2 events, we hosted one in Ocala, and the team ended up coming in second there, beat Murray and Jacksonville State, which is always exciting for us. And then we went down to Cincinnati's tournament in Crystal River, which is about half an hour away, and came in third there against a pretty large field.
So you were very busy during the spring break.
Yes, we were very busy.
got a lot of golf in, which is good. Now you head down the regular season. You got a couple matches left.
Just one more left.
Okay.
Yeah, it went by quick. So we just head down to EKU next week, and they've won that tournament 2 years in a row. We're hoping to defend our title there, and then just get ready for OVCs and see what we can do at the championship.
You know, as we talk to the basketball coaches and even Kevin Fulton, the tennis coach, sometimes, it's you have less practice as a coach when you're in, team sports like tennis and basketball at this time of the year going in the tournament. For a golfer, though, you have to play. It seems like when you play more, it's the better thing, because if you're not progressing well on something, you can work out of a slump.
Yeah, I think our main goal in the spring is to utilize the weather and the facilities, because we don't always know what's going to go on in this region of the country. So we pretty much head south. Every tournament we go to, our goal is to win the OVC championship. So we approach each tournament as an important component of that. Like, obviously we want to win those tournaments too, but essentially we get done, we know what we did well, we know what we want to do better. Right after we get done playing, even if it was a 5 or 6 hour round, we're back out there practicing right afterwards to get ready for the next day, just to keep getting better.
Mention some of the teams in the Ohio Valley Conference. What have you heard? What's the scouting report on the OVC as you head into your last match before the OVC tournament?
I just think everyone's getting better. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. Jacksonville State's gotten better. Murray State is really strong this year. EKU's getting better. And then golf is just one of those sports that you can step it up and have a fabulous week and surprise everyone. So we know that. I mean, the good thing about our sport is we only have control of us. So we just have to keep doing what we're doing and just keep getting the ball on the hole. And once we get done, we add it all up, and hopefully you win.
Tell us a little bit about your individuals this year, as you have some outstanding golfers on your team.
They've done great. I mean, I'm excited. Everyone, for the most part, has improved. I mean, it's very difficult for Emma Johnson to improve on last year. She had a phenomenal year. I mean, she won 5 events. She won conference. She was OVC Player of the Year, and I mean that's hard to top. So I think coming into this year, I think she was hoping to do even better. But I think watching her now, I think that kind of set her back, because that's hard to do. But I think she's kind of found her stride and is ready to take on these next 2 tournaments. She's put in a couple real good rounds lately, so I'm looking forward to her stepping up. But other than that, I mean, everyone on the team, Molly has really stepped up. She's taken off a couple strokes off of her average from last year, and that's huge in golf. Marissa, I think if she's not leading the OVC in her scoring average, she's one of the definitely top 3. Sophia is really steady for us, and then you've got Vanessa Bognot as a freshman has just really been lighting it up. She's helped us out a bunch.
And of course, you mentioned the EKU, your last regular season match. You played Arlington, and like you said, the 2-time defending champion. That's It's I don't know, as a golf coach, you want to get out there and play, but it's not a big road trip. It's closer to home, so you can get home and then get back out on Eagle Trace and really work on some things before you head to the OVC.
Yeah, and this has been a busy year. I mean, not only did we just host our own event, but now we're going to turn around and host the OVC championship. So as a coach, I don't mind that we're close to home for the next few weeks as well. That's helpful.
The OVC tournament down at the Greystone Golf Club, I want to get that right, at Dixon, Tennessee. Tell us a little bit about the course.
It's a good course. It's fun. If you're hitting it good and you're hitting it straight, you can really shoot well. We've played well there the last couple of years, so we're very comfortable on that course. But like the courses that we've been playing this semester, if you don't watch it, there's some holes that can really jump up and get you, and all of a sudden you walk away with a bogey or a double and you're expecting to get a birdie.
So, OVC, as you said, MSU playing host, does that add anything to it? I mean, I know that means, on paper that the staff has to go down and work it a little bit more, but as a coach, do you even pay attention? Are there more duties for you as a host team to the OVC?
Yes and no. Most of the things we've already taken care of, and then fortunately we've got a great staff. I think Sarah Larson is taking on a lot of responsibility as a tournament director. Financially, just to put a plug in, we're actually hosting an auction to raise some money. It's kind of a dinner auction that'll be out at Eagle Trace on April 13th. So people that are interested in that, the money that we raise is actually going to help us host that tournament down in Tennessee, because it is off-site and you are sending people 4 or 5 hours away.
So Eagle Trace, April 13th, about what time?
I think it's going to start around 5, and we've got some great things to auction. Kenneth is sending us a ball, and he's going to sign that, and we've got some golf courses have donated some rounds, and a bunch of businesses around here have donated things, so we're excited.
So if they would need more information, again, they could email you or call your office,
Yes.
and you could provide them with more information. But
Yes.
you'd like them to come on out and enjoy a good night or a good auction and see what happens.
Yeah, Steve Lewis has volunteered to help us with the auction, so I think especially for my international kids, they've never seen anything like that, so that'll be really exciting.
So that's as as we would just talk to Jay about some educational things that's happening. That'll be a real educational thing for them, because, as you said, they're international students. They come and may not know all the little ins and outs of an auction. They'll probably enjoy that a lot.
I think they will. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
I know you stress, like all the coaches here, very hard work in the academics part, and being on the road so much, that has to be very hard on your young ladies to try to balance playing and hitting the books.
Yes, fortunately, almost every semester we've maintained over a 3.5 GPA, and we have pre-med and business, and so they're not majoring in things that are easy by all means. For the most part, because our sport is so time-consuming, just like everyone else, you have to manage your time, and if you're not, it's a big wake-up call.
So, and with traveling with some of the teams I have in the past, it's the fact that people think, oh, it's great, you're on the road, you get to be in a hotel, and you get to do this and that. But most of the time, a lot of the young people spend most of their free times studying, hitting books, and the fact that they can't afford to get behind. People don't understand. Regular students might be able to fall behind an assignment or two, but if you're out there playing for 3 to 4 months at a time, you can't fall behind.
No, and even during spring break, we ended up having one free day. It was Wednesday, and when we checked into our hotel, everyone went to the pool and they all had their books. So they're studying. They're making good use of their time.
And that's what it's all about. They're here for they're student athletes, and that's what makes it so special. What do you think you have to improve on before you get to the OVCs?
For us, if our short games are on, we do really well regardless. I mean, if we're hitting it good, we're going to be breaking 300 and really lighting it up. But our team is known for having a really solid short game, so we'll continue to work on that. This last venue that we played in, we actually played as a fivesome with the entire team, which I've never done that before. Usually I'm on certain holes or going with certain people. So for the first time in my coaching career, I got to coach all 5 people for all 5.5 hours. I learned a lot. I really was able to see not just what they tell me after they're done, but I'm like, oh, what happened on that hole? I could see exactly what was happening. So now I kind of know, like, oh, well, this person really needs to work on this, and this person really needs to work on that, and they're all different. So that was interesting and a learning experience for me. But really, I just think we just have to stay tough, stay focused, keep focusing on the things that are going to keep us in the game, and not let how other people are playing affect us.
Something that you would like to see more tournaments go to, or is it just a novelty that you like to try that once and it was nice?
It's a 6-hour round for 18 holes to do that. I ended up, the first day, I didn't know if I liked it. By the second day, I really liked it, and so did my kids. We got used to it because you're all rooting for each other. There's no gamesmanship. There's nothing strange going on with parents. All that is very manageable. But from a time perspective, I mean, how much time it takes, I just don't know if you could do that on every golf course. If they could figure out how to play in 4.5, 5-hour rounds, I'd be all for it. But at 6 hours, it's a long, long day because you're there an hour ahead of time too, and then you're staying afterwards to practice. That's a 8-hour plus.
That's something new, something that you've done it and have it in your back of your head now, right?
Yeah, we can mark that off.
Stephanie, always a pleasure. Good luck. Of course, the golf team will be at the EKU Lady Colonel Classic on April 6th and 7th before the Ohio Valley Conference Championships down in Dixon, Tennessee on April 22nd through the 24th.
Yes.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Stephanie Barker, women's golf coach here at Morehead State University. We'll come back with more. This is the Welcome back to the Eagle Sports Coaches Show here from the AAC in the Lynn Miller Room. David Williams has joined us now. Talk a little softball. And, Coach, like our new digs here.
It's a lot more comfortable setting here.
Yeah, we've kind of high-classed it here a little bit here down in the AAC. Tell us a little bit about how the Eagles have been doing since the last time we chatted.
Well, we've been kind of up and down. We've struggled a little bit. We're in every game. We're just having the inability to close a game right now. Feel good about where we're at as far as being able to compete, be in ball games. Would just like to be able to get over that hump and kind of get to the completion of the game. Started out 5th inning was our problem for a while. Then it was 6th inning was a problem for a while. Well, now it's 7th inning is our problem for a while. So hopefully it moves on to the 8th inning, which hopefully we don't have to play, and the game's over. So hopefully we'll get that taken care of.
You got 8 wins thus far in the first 25 games, and as you said, they were learning you. You're still learning the team, and I know that as a coach you'd like to be 25-0 at this time, but just didn't happen early on. So, as you said, has this lack of runs been the difference early on?
I would say, well, yes and no. Yeah. Yes and no, because we have won some games that we probably didn't score enough runs in, and we've been successful, and we've lost some games where we've scored plenty of runs in. Really, when you look at it, we've played a lot of tight games. We've lost 5 games by 1 run, 4 games by 2 runs, 3 games by 3 runs. So just looking at those games right there, that's 12 games right there that are all 3 runs or less, and that's 1 walk, 1 error, and a big hit away from winning a ball game. And then if you really look inside those numbers even further, we had the lead late in 4 out of the 5 games we lost by 1 run. We had the lead late in 2 of the 4 games that we lost by 2 runs. And we had the lead late in 2 of the games we lost by 3 runs. And one of those was an extra innings game that they hit a walk-off home run on. So we're right there. We're right there. And it's encouraging to know that we're in every game. Obviously, the wins and losses don't dictate how successful we've been to this point, but we've played with everybody we've played. I feel comfortable challenging everybody that we've played on our schedule, and I would be more than willing to accept the challenge again and play them again because we can compete.
Taking a look at some of these numbers, you have, Amber Riddle coming back. Of course, she's played in all 25 games, and, she's hit 342 and 8 home runs leading your team and 23 RBI. That's not, bad because she's coming off some good years, prior to that. And, of course, she's from Round County, which probably maybe even adds a little pressure to her.
She's done a great job for us. She worked really hard in the offseason. She really did. I believe she's become a more complete hitter. She's obviously become an offensive leader for us, and as long as she continues to work and have the same approach at the plate and do the things that she's doing, she's going to be a major factor for us offensively.
The lineup has it been almost the same? I was looking, you see the game started and the game's played. Have you got a set lineup now, or are you still auditioning some people?
I think we're still tweaking a little bit. We've tried to experiment with a couple different people in some different spots. We've obviously experimented with a different batting order quite a bit, so we've done that a lot. We probably haven't switched people out as much in positions as we should at this point. I think that as you progress into the season, you do kind of develop into a more set lineup. But at this point, we're still trying to find that right combination, I think.
Defensively, are you happy with your team thus far?
We've played some really good defensive games. We really have. We've had several games where we don't make a mistake. And then we'll have a game where we snowball and make a few mistakes. Unfortunate for us and unfortunate for, the pitching staff and everything like that. They all seem to happen in a row. It's not error in the first and an error in the fifth. It's 2 errors in the fifth or those types of things. Fielding the ball, we've done a great job there. I think some of the things that we've had a little bit of trouble with and where we need to work on a little bit is playing in those tight pressure situations and making the plays in the clutch is really where we need to concentrate on.
Get back to Ohio Valley Conference part of the season coming up on Thursday as you travel to Richmond and take on Eastern Kentucky. And, of course, Eastern came here last week and beat you twice in a doubleheader. And, of course, we had Kevin Fulton on earlier. He's talking about the rivalry. So if you can't get up for an EKU game, you probably can't get up for any game.
That's probably true. We definitely have a chance to get some redemption this Thursday against Eastern Kentucky. I felt like definitely the first game last week, that one slipped away from us. The second game we battled back, but even still, I think that's a game that we probably could have won. I definitely think that a little bit of redemption is on everybody's mind when we travel there this Thursday. And,
of course, you played away the first, 12, 13, 14 games. It seems like you were in the tournaments. You're 0-4 at home, but you come back home this weekend, a big 3-game series with Jacksonville State, and Jacksonville State's always a very tough team in the Ohio Valley Conference.
Yeah, they're a good team, that's for sure. Offensively, they're really strong. They've got a lot of really big hitters, do a lot of things very well. I would say the most encouraging thing is Eastern Kentucky played them this past weekend, and there were 3 very close ball games. Jacksonville State won 1 game in extra innings. Eastern Kentucky took 1 from them on Saturday. And then the game on Sunday was a tight one in which Jacksonville State hit a home run to win the game. So I think if we look at that and we look at how well we played against Eastern Kentucky last week, and if we go to Eastern Kentucky this Thursday and get a win, I think that gives us a really good estimate of where we would stand playing Jacksonville State this weekend.
Of course, after the Eastern game on the road on Thursday, you're at home, as we said, 3-game series with Jacksonville State, OVC, and then you continue that on Wednesday, April 4th, Dayton coming here for a 3 o'clock doubleheader, and then after a couple road games, you're back home against Butler and Miami, Ohio. So there's some good home games coming up for the Eagles, so fans can come out and see these young ladies play.
Yeah, we definitely have a lot of home games left on our schedule. I mean, I would say we probably got about, I haven't really counted, but I'd say probably 16 home games left. So we really haven't even gotten into the meat of our home schedule yet. So, as we progress throughout the rest of the season, we'll start to play more at home. Hopefully that'll give us a little bit more momentum, and we can have some friendly confines of playing at our home park.
And I know that the Ohio Valley Conference race is never over to that last weekend, it seems like. What teams have surprised you early on in this OVC season?
Murray State. Probably Murray State. They're, I think, a third-year program. They just started softball 3 years ago. They're tied with UT Martin right now at the top. They actually took 2 out of 3 from Martin this past weekend. So I would say Murray State is probably the biggest surprise to me at this point. They've got a good group there. We've played them once already this year. We played them in a tournament, and it was an extra inning loss for us. It was a 1-run ball game, but they're a pretty good program. They're probably the biggest surprise at this point, but everybody's only 3 series in, and you got a lot left, so it could completely flip around. What you see now could be completely different come May.
Tell us a little bit about what you want to accomplish between now and the end of the season. What in the past has worked for you, at your other places, or what do you see that you want to improve on the most?
I would just say establishing some consistency. Consistency all the way around. Defense, offense, pitching, those types of things. We need to establish a little bit more consistency, develop ourselves a little bit more. Obviously, we want to generate as many wins as we can throughout the rest of the season. And we've got a lot of season left to go. What we want to do is we want to put ourselves in a position to be in the OVC tournament come May. And we want to put ourselves in a position that we have building blocks for future success.
We mentioned the hitting a little bit. Let's talk about the pitching. You've got some young ladies that have already got in 17 and 14 games. And tell us a little bit about how your staff has done. Maybe not the wins and losses, but how, are you pleased with their progress?
We're definitely making progress. I will say this, and this was probably the biggest highlight of the weekend we had. We went through the doubleheader on Saturday, and our pitchers did not allow a single walk. Did not hit a single batter. So when you look at that, we didn't allow any free passes, from a walk or hit batsman standpoint. So that's definitely an area that our pitchers have improved on. One thing that they've done a tremendous job of over the past couple of weeks is getting ahead in counts. So I think that they're taking things and they're working on them, and they're really trying to concentrate on those things. So the pitching staff has progressed nicely. We still have a little bit of work to do in that area. But we have a lot of work to do all the way around. So,
David, always a pleasure. Once again, Eastern Kentucky coming up for the Softball Eagles Thursday at 3 o'clock down in Richmond before a 3-game series this weekend, Saturday and Sunday against Jacksonville State. Jacksonville State's game on Saturday will start at 1 o'clock. And I forgot what my page says, 1 o'clock on Sunday as well. David, always a pleasure. We'll talk to you again. David Williams, softball coach here at Morehead State. That's going to do it for this edition of the Eagles Sports Coaches Show. I'd like to thank everyone here at the AAC for their help. Also back at the station, Ian Corbin, the producer of the radio show. Until next time, I'm Jason Blanton.